Hey guys, last year my selection that got in was The Incredible from Justin to Kelly, and I am continuing the legacy here by having my next pick get in, which is Sia's Music. It's a lot less fun. It's really condescending and manipulative and obviously very problematic, and I'm very excited that you get to watch another iconic musical courtesy of myself. Enjoy.
You know when I pick a movie, that's when I'm under pressure now. The question always comes back to me, what were they thinking now? Whoa, what were they thinking? What were they thinking?
What's up, folks? Welcome to another edition of What Were They Thinking? The podcast where we talk about bad to questionable movies, and boy, howdy, do we have it in both categories this week in large amounts. Maybe one of the most questionable we've done in quite some time. I'm Brendan, and joining me, not even going to make a joke for this one. This is because otherwise it would just come across as just as problematic as the rest of the movie. Okay, you know what? I'll say the Ben Schwartz to my Kate Hudson.
Hoping to be the unnamed neighbor.
Oh, you mean the Henry Rollins 12-second cameo?
Yep. I'm guessing he only saw the pages he was reading for.
I'm guessing a lot of those cameos did, because there's a lot of people that are not on screen with one very problematic aspect of this movie. But yes, Nathan, hello, how are you?
You know what? I was considerably better before I saw this movie.
Oh boy.
Mhm.
Well, yeah, we're talking about a movie that would have been weird if it had come out 20 years ago. And it's a lot weirder because it came out 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's a little film called Music. Now, this movie had a lot of press, none of it good. Nathan, had you heard of any of the kind of word of mouth about this movie when it came out?
I hadn't heard about this movie until you had mentioned that it was in the draw for listener's choice. You told me of its notoriety, of its Ben Stiller Tropic Thunder-esque portrayals. And I was like, okay, well, that sounds pretty bad. Hope we don't get it.
And lo and behold,
we get it. And actually, before I saw it, and I think it was either just before or just after the draw was done, I saw like a Watch Mojo listicle on YouTube about, wrong-minded or like heart was in the right place, but where the hell was your brain kind of movies. And this was at the top of the list, and they were showing some of the stuff, and I was like, oh no, this is ooh.
Yeah, like this is, like I said, if this movie was made, I should say 30 years ago, if this movie came out in the early 90s, I would still be like, oof. But
Rain Man.
even in that though, he's not doing what this movie's doing.
No, this movie takes it way too far. Like, just terribly too far.
Mm-hmm.
And we're gonna get into it, but I'm not. So I don't want to like start. So anyways, I come out blasting, and I don't want to be doing that. So
well, just let me get the what with the what out of the way, Brent. What am I getting out of the way?
The
Plot!
Ah, yes. This movie is about ostensibly they make you think it's about this person because it's the title of the movie, but it's really not. But it's essentially about a young girl, or I guess an older teenager, around 18 or so, named Music. Now, she is nonverbal and on the spectrum, and she loses her grandmother. Her grandmother passes away, and because of this, her sister, her much older sister, who I was confused for a long point of this movie why Kate Hudson was seemingly playing a 25-year-old woman until it's later confirmed that she's not. But anyway, Kate Hudson plays her older sister that is just a mess. Drug dealer, alcoholic, addict, klepto, everything you could imagine, everything under the sun. She's basically sort of forced to come home as she's the only living family member, I guess, and take care of music, which is maybe the worst character you could saddle with that responsibility.
I feel social services should have gotten involved.
Oh, they would have.
Even before she got even anywhere near the apartment.
Oh, 100%. Even if they had said, "Oh, come down," they would have gotten involved as soon as they saw her. But she basically comes down to look after music alongside Hector Elizondo, who also lives in the apartment. And yeah, they soon meet up with a gentleman named Ebo, played by God damn, I'm the worst. Leslie Odom Jr., who coming off of an Oscar-nominated performance in One Night in Miami, and he also appeared in Glass Onion, so a little step down for him. And I'm not going to say hilarity ensues, because it certainly does not. This is a movie in which it's just like tragedy porn. Like every 10 minutes there's something else that's just like a dark twist. And if you do that throughout...
Brendan, I think you've mispronounced the word music video.
Well,
terribly.
I mean, there are terrible music videos, but there's
every
also...
10 fucking minutes.
But also every 10 minutes there are seemingly very dark, tragic turns that this movie takes. And to all you directors out there, when you do it the first time, it's pretty... It can be effective and it can hit pretty hard. When they appear in your movie 800 times, they start to lose their effectiveness. So hilarity does not ensue, but the movie music does, and let's just tear this fucking Band-Aid apart and rip this thing into shreds, because it is an absolute nightmare.
Yeah.
Okay, so just to get into, just before we even start ripping apart the movie itself, the just a little bit of the background here. So Sia announced, the singer Sia announced she was directing a movie. Okay, red flag number one. It's a little weird, whatever. Let's see how it turns out. She
see how it turns out.
Oh boy. Here we go. She announces what the plot of the movie is, and people again are like, okay, well, let's see what happens with the casting. And then the first big red flag is she announces that she's cast her, for lack of a better word, her teenage muse, a gal by the name of Maddie Ziegler. Now, Maddie Ziegler is, if you've ever seen the Chandelier music video, she's the little girl in that video that's dancing around. I looked into this relationship, and it's a little strange, but she apparently discovered her on some show called Dance Moms.
Yes.
And then has been put her in basically every video. And she was like living with her when she was like 13. So I don't know if there was like a parent situation that wasn't good, or if it was just like a weird Nickelodeon
Ezra
thing.
Miller.
Yeah. Well, like I just thought of like the Nickelodeon thing where like they would get a lot of the young actors to live with the directors during the 90s. Oh yeah, that shit happened. And
I heard about the guy who played Dennis on Head of the Class and his whole thing with the was it Clarissa or iCarly or one of them?
Oh really? Yeah. It was not a good time to be a child actor. Still arguably not a great time to be a child actor, but regardless, they have a kind of a strange thing. So, I mean, one thing I will get out of the way right away is I'm not going to blame the lead actor. I think she was just kind of put into this movie. She's only like 17 or something when this movie was filmed, maybe even younger. Yeah. So... And since this movie has come out, she has come out and said, like, look, I'm sorry if I offended anyone or hurt anyone. I promise you I wasn't trying to, there was no ill will on our part. And she has quietly moved away from Sia. You'll notice now that the projects she's doing now are nothing related to Sia, and she's getting some good reviews and stuff, so it's good to see that she's moved on. I'm going to put 100% of the blame on this movie, though, on Sia and her co-writer, a guy by the name of Dallas Clayton. And Dallas Clayton is a social media influencer.
I thought you were gonna say sociopath.
Well, maybe. Who named I believe he named his kid Audio. So if you're wondering why the movie is called Music and why the character is called Music, that might be your first biggest hint.
Oh, and Kate Hudson's name is Kazoo.
Well, the most convoluted way to say her name, because she says, it's like kazoo, but if you spelled it with a U, but also just zoo. Like, what? Just say your name is Z-U.
No, her full name is Kazoo.
Yeah, but then she says, but
they
it's
spelled
just
it
zoo.
Z-U.
And it's just Z-U.
No, she just goes by Z-U. Mm-hmm. She just goes by Zoo.
But that's like saying, my name is like, my name, it's like pizza, but it's P-I-S-A. You know, like pizza.
Pizza.
It's just a weird way to name to explain your name, I think. Anyway, point is, they found out she was not casting a person with any kind of, anybody that's on the spectrum, anybody with autism, anybody that knows about this stuff, and people were very alarmed. There was a rather huge meltdown on Twitter for about 24 hours where Sia was just on the defensive the whole time, calling people bad actors because they couldn't get the role, to which they responded that she was a bad director when we saw how bad the movie was. A lot of drama. And then this movie came out and was somehow nominated for 2 Golden Globes!
Yeah.
Despite having, as you'll later find out, a terrible Rotten Tomatoes score, audience and critic, and one of the lowest Letterboxd scores, I think, of any recent movie in the last, 5 years. That's a 1 out of 5.
Yeah. It's the idea that a girl that young, not on the spectrum or anything like that, could carry a role like this
and not an
any
actor,
sort of,
hardly,
right, and carry with any sort of respect or reverence that you deserve, that community kind of deserves, when if you're going to be saying, I will be representing, however I'm not part of. It's I understand the idea, like when they have someone who's not gay or trans or whatever play that character, that when they play that character, they have to say, look, I need to treat this with the most respect I can possibly give it, right, or otherwise it's going to come across as awful. I'm awful. I don't want to be just be playing to stereotypes and cliches that are tired and trite. So that, you do a ton of research, you immerse yourself into it, you find the nuances. You don't do what this unfortunate girl was directed to do, because you can get somebody to play nonverbal, and I understand why you wouldn't be able to necessarily, if the character needs to be nonverbal, to be able to cast somebody on the spectrum who's nonverbal to be in this role, because it's very difficult to direct in. I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done, but it's very difficult. Well, so you need to get an experienced actor or actress who can take the time, and as much as I am loath to say method act, but take the time to really kind of immerse themselves and understand what it means to be not only on the spectrum, but also nonverbal, how they actually do communicate, how they're not just constantly walking around making dog noises and chittering, and it's again, like you said, not to put it on her, but to put it on the people who directed her. I'm already pretty offended.
It makes Simple Jack look like an Oscar-winning performance,
which was what he was shooting for in the movie.
Well, I mean, it makes Simple Jack look like a genuine portrayal of a person on the spectrum. That's what I'm saying. That's how ridiculously overwrought and broad this whole thing is.
I feel that she focused mostly on just aping the mannerisms.
Yeah.
Anything else? I don't feel there was really a whole lot done into researching, how the stuff that happens to this person, a type of person like this in the run of a day, would affect them. Also, the idea they're like, we'll just go ahead and present this super unsafe way to restrain her. We'll leave that in the movie too. Like, come on, man.
And you said earlier, a director would be able to like help the actor, carve out at least if you're gonna go this way, which you shouldn't, you should have someone that at least knows something about it.
There should have been more than a few consultants on this movie.
And again, there are so many actors out there like this that could use the work. Like, it's not like you had to cast this girl. Like, no offense to her, but it's not like you had to cast her. Like, no. I hear the argument all the time. It's like when you like that movie that came out, that Exodus, Gods and Kings, or Ridley Scott was like, well, I had to cast Christian Bale or else I need a star. No one's going to see the movie. It's like, okay, but if people just constantly said that, they would be nobody else but like white dudes. Like, you can cast other people and have stars playing different roles. Like, it's just,
that's the line they've been feeding everybody forever because that's their mentality. Right. I mean, a prime example of how that just flies right in the face of that mentality of like, I need this big name, and we're only making white guys a big name, so it's always going to be white guys. Take a look at a movie like or a franchise like Fast and Furious.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a multiracial cast.
Gender too.
Yeah, and people turn out in droves, and everybody who turns out has got like, well, you know what, I like, people would be like, I like Dom. The other people like, I show up because Tyrese is hilarious, or I show up because
Letty.
Letty's amazing, or I like Ramsey. She's super smart and funny. There's so many different ways that you could put big names that already exist in roles. You don't have to be like, I gotta whitewash this character, and when they shouldn't be, because I mean, you're talking about a movie about we're talking about music, but your example was Greek gods and whatnot.
Well, and like ones. People who are playing like clearly Egyptians, like you see that in like that Worst Gods movie with Gerard Butler.
Yes,
Gods
I know the one you're talking about. Yeah.
But basically what I'm saying is like that's a shitty argument, and that's it doesn't hold any water. Like you can cast other people. Now I'm surprised. Do you think at some point Sia approached Kate Hudson and she was like, no?
You mean like, Kate, you want to be music?
I had to wonder. I know the character's supposed to be young, but I feel like it could have been rewritten. But I wonder. If that happened, I want to know.
I don't know, man. Like, because that's the thing about this. Like, I joked about how Henry Rollins only read the pages that he did.
Oh, he has like 2 lines. We're not even joking. He's barely in the movie.
He's just a neighbor who gets woken up in the night and just wants to make sure everything's okay.
To the point where I didn't even know when I watched this the first time. Yes, I watched this twice because my good friend wanted us to watch it together because we heard it was so notorious, and then of course we're watching it for this. The first time I watched it, I saw Henry Rollins' name at the end. I was like, what? Who the fuck did Henry Rollins play?
And I mean, you've got Juliette Lewis is in this.
Again,
Kathy
a cup of coffee.
Nimijay, cup of coffee, not in any scene, not in scenes with music.
You think it's like a Gigli? It's like a Gigli situation where all the cameos are like isolated scenes.
Sia was like, "Look, I want you. Can you do a cameo in my movie? These are the lines. This is the part you'd be reading. Kate Hudson's a drug dealer, and you're trying to help her get set up with a bigger drug dealer, and go.
You know what?
And what else is going on in the movie? You don't really need to know that, Juliette. Just read these lines.
Don't worry about it. Trust me. You remember Chandelier? You loved it.
Yeah.
I just realized, having said it's like Gigli where the cameos are isolated, it's even more like Gigli because that also has a very problematic portrayal.
It really does.
Yeah.
Yep.
So that's Sia looked to Gigli for inspiration. She was like, I can do that and make it more offensive.
But then you have people like Kate Hudson and Hector Alonso's in this, and these are people with dignity and careers. Mm-hmm. How on earth did they read the script and go, yeah, I'll get behind that?
Yeah, I don't know. And I wouldn't say that anyone else in this movie is particularly like bad. I mean, they're not anything outstanding. They're doing the best they can with the material they have.
The problem is the material.
The problem
100%
and
is
the
the
director.
material and how they were directed to
Yes.
deliver the material.
Because the director is like, it's her first movie and she's doing something like this. Like this is a gargantuan task for someone it was like their sixth movie. Like your first movie is something this like, I don't want to say subtle and nuanced, but something this like with this much texture.
There's
you know what I mean? Like this,
something. Yeah, there's this movie. This is the type of movie that needs to be handled with the utmost care and respect. And if you're going to not cast somebody on the spectrum simply because you want this person to be nonverbal, then you need to cast somebody who is going to do the research.
Oh, and don't worry, because her explanation for that, Sia's explanation was, I tried to cast we had a young girl, a nonverbal girl, and I was trying to put her in the movie, and I was directing her, and it just was very difficult for her, so I cast Maddie. I'm like, so you tried one person?
It is, and I will say that it would be very difficult.
Right, but
And
again, that doesn't sound like she really tried. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
it was probably one day of shooting, and she realized that she couldn't get this person to do, what she needed to do to hit her mark, to move this way, to look this way, to come down the hallway at this exact moment, because a lot of times with folks who are nonverbal, there's also a lot of anxiety and stuff that goes along with it too, because they don't feel like they're communicating effectively.
very accurately portrayed in the film.
Oh, it's this.
I want to go back to what you said earlier. We're going to be all over the map with this because fuck whatever. But I want to go back to what you said earlier with the way that they show to restrain someone like this if they're having an attack. Because that was a hot point of contention too from everybody who saw the movie, and everybody basically found out that she did all her research with this autism foundation that was I don't know who they are. I'm not going to call them out, but apparently all of the stuff, or a lot of the stuff they said, was highly like debunked. And
it's debunked and archaic, like as so far as like their methods.
Yeah, and this is who she used for her research, and then explaining that, like I didn't know. Girl, you're making a movie about the subject. You need to know.
It's your business to know, yeah.
It's your business to know. This is such a delicate thing you're doing. But
well, because
tell us about this.
Well, after Music's grandmother dies, that happens like in the first 15 minutes of the
Mary
movie.
Kay Place, again, cup of coffee.
Right. Music has kind of a meltdown. Because on the first day that Zoo is looking after her, Zoo doesn't know the routine. She doesn't know, this goes here, or this is done at this time, and this is done at this time, because regimented routine is very important for when caring for someone, not even just nonverbal, caring for anybody who's on the spectrum. A lot of the times, because they like things just so. And so when Zoo doesn't get up to make the eggs right away, Music comes in to remind her, and then she goes and she makes the eggs, and she does a I don't give a shit job of it, and then she goes to go back to bed, and Music wants her to braid her hair because her grandmother braided her hair while she ate her eggs in the morning. And all of this, because all this stuff is not happening, Music starts getting overwhelmed by the idea of all these things have changed, this is all different, and her only response is to have a full-on meltdown fueled by anxiety and panic. In walks Ebo, the neighbor who knows Music and knew the grandmother and stuff like that, and sees that she's having a meltdown, but then he just grabs her and puts her in a bear hug and lays down on top of her.
Right.
Which you could not only could you break ribs and arms, but you could suffocate her.
You could kill them. You could literally
Yes.
kill her. By the way,
And he says, in the calmest delivery ever, I'm crushing her with my love.
also this character, we talk about music, but this character is like, Sia doesn't know anything about black people. I'm just gonna say it because he's like the magical black character. Like he shows up and he has all the best advice. It's weird that she made him like from Africa. Like just like, do you know what I mean though? It's just a choice that just feels odd to me, especially coming from like a very white filmmaker.
Well, and again, I don't know what her thinking of on this is, but I think she, obviously we find out later in the movie that Ebo has HIV.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm guessing that was her thought on this,
which might be
because
even worse.
I mean it's still a pretty bad pandemic over there in regards to that, like way worse than it is in Western countries.
Right.
But to say if that was the reason why she did it, it's pretty shitty, because you don't have to be from Africa to have HIV or AIDS. Anybody can get it.
Yeah, no, I thought it was like, I think it would have been less uncomfortable if this was directed by like John Singleton. You know what I mean? Like then it'd be like, okay, well, he knows what he's talking about. He's like, I don't feel like this is like an outsider being like, and that's
in regards to the black experience, I don't know if John Singleton would know a hell of a lot about the autistic experience.
Right. I'm just talking about this part, not the rest of the movie. I almost think the Farrelly brothers would have done a better job with this material.
Oh my God.
I mean, they cast actual people like that in their
true.
movies, and they seem to have a
true.
pretty sweet point of view about people like that. They work with a lot of people with charities and stuff like on the side. So, I mean, I will say it right now. I think There's Something About Mary is more sensitive than music. Maybe
That's
not.
fair.
Maybe it's close, but anywho.
Tig is in this thing as a TV host.
Tig Notaro, another cameo, and it's like this scene is it's from another movie, because she's in a show within the movie, and it's supposed to be like funny because she's so dry. But I'm also, and I kind of laugh because it's Tig, but I'm also like, this doesn't belong here. This belongs in like a weird comedy.
She's supposed to be like the host of a kids show, like a, I don't know, like a wilderness Zaboomafoo type show.
Yeah. I mean, I was like seeing her show up and things, so I wasn't mad, but it was a little weird to see that kind of comedy. But okay, so we have all that stuff. We have
we've met Hector, who plays
Hector
Alonso, who
Elizondo.
plays George.
Yeah. George.
We found out now that Zoo is recovering, but she's recovering, or she's in Alcoholics Anonymous because she was made to be in Alcoholics Anonymous, because she got busted trying to stealing George's TV, and then was sent for probation, and she had to attend meetings for 30 days.
This is such like, it's just, I feel like every 10 minutes there's some other reveal that's like, oh, but isn't this sad? Oh, but also this, and then this happened, and it's just like, focus on one thing. Like, and the movie is not even about the main character. Like, it's not really about music at all.
No.
To begin with, it's about how Kate Hudson deals with taking care of music. And speaking of music, I know you mentioned it. You kind of alluded to it earlier. Could we talk about how this is not a musical? It's not.
But the idea is that, and they just so lazily throw this away.
So
where Ebo says to Zoo when they're out walking that music sees the world differently, or takes in the world differently. And we're meant to think or believe that all these breaks that are like essentially Sia music videos.
Oh, yeah.
Because everybody's in these weird, elaborate costumes doing these, choreographed dance numbers. And it's all very music. It's not they're shot on music video sets and green screens and stuff like that. This all happens, and then you come back to reality, and they're like, oh, I wonder what she's thinking about, sort of thing.
Yeah, and none of them mean shit. Like, they all just reiterate the thing we already know. Like, there's a whole thing, there's one of them, it's called Humans Were So Insecure. After we've just seen a scene about, like, everybody's being, like Kate Huns is being kind of insecure about herself, and Ebo's kind of being insecure. It's like, we don't need that song to tell us that. And I will say this, too. I know you're not, like, the biggest fan of musicals, but to me, if it's a good musical, the songs also progress the plot.
Yeah.
Like, Cats is obviously a terrible movie. I love it dearly because it's ridiculous, but the songs in that movie do not progress the plot. It's like the same thing there. But it's like if you watch, like, I don't know, like Sweeney Todd, for example, the songs are propelling the movie forward. Like they're telling you either like a montage of things, or they're saying, okay, this is what happens next. This movie is just like, oh, just in case you didn't get the last 5 minutes of the movie, we're just going to sing it to you in this abstract music video. Just to hammer it home, but also confuse the fuck out of you.
Speaking of confusing the fuck out of you, music likes to go to the library and read the same passage from a book about dogs, and there is a chap from the neighborhood named Felix who constantly he sees her and he smiles at her, and you know, it's almost like I think he's kind of sweet on her. But it's never really put out there explicitly.
Well, okay, is this character, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to be, like, offensive. I'm just asking, because if this was Sia's intention, do you think, is this character also supposed to be on the spectrum?
I think there's supposed to be something to it.
Okay.
Because he doesn't talk a whole lot, but he is communicative. But I mean, it could also just be the fact that, you know, he's from a pretty abusive family. His dad's a real piece of shit.
A ridiculously, like, Hollywood level abusive family. Like, it's played up so much.
And he's taking boxing lessons at Ebo's gym, but he doesn't want to be a boxer. He wants to be a dancer.
Right. Oh, I didn't even catch the dancing part. I just knew he didn't want to box.
He didn't want to, and there's several times where you see him, he's watching videos on, like, you know, on choreographed dancing,
right?
But he goes and because his dad, I guess, wants him to, I don't know, be a man or some bullshit, and he goes to take boxing, and he does not fit in boxing.
No, and this whole thing is so underdeveloped. Like, we see him show up about, I don't know, 20 minutes into the movie, and then he disappears for a good 40 minutes. Like, and then
he shows up long enough to kind of watch music as she's going to the library and know that she likes dogs, and, you know, he clearly, if he's not in love with her, he's got an emotional attachment to her. We find out his dad sucks, because he's constantly berating him and making him go to the take boxing that he doesn't want to do. And then you're right, he disappears until later when he's back in boxing. And Ebo's actually nice to him, and even says to him, I don't know why you're here.
Mm-hmm.
You clearly don't like this, but I'm proud of you for just showing up, for being here to do this, like following through, saying he was going to do it, even though he didn't like it. And the kid, Felix, he gets like this look in his eye, like, you know, like, that means the world to me. Like, no one ever says that they're proud of me for just, you know, for being there and doing what I said I was going to do, because his dad is in the crowd at the time, you know, basically yelling, kill him, sort of thing, because he wants to see his kid beat the shit out of this massively underweighted guy, because Felix is a big dude.
He is.
And this is amateur boxing, and there is a huge weight disparity between the two of them. Like, honest to God, it would be like if Butterbean fought DJ Qualls.
But you know what? I'll buy that pay-per-view. $65. I want to see it.
$65 to see DJ Qualls die?
I'll pay $65 to see that bout. What if, just think about this, Nathan, what if you did it and then you were like, oh boy, this is going to be a slaughter, and somehow DJ Qualls pulled it off? You could say you were there. You watched it live.
Or I could say I was there when DJ Qualls had his head punched clean off his head like that dude in Friday the 13th Part 8.
Oh, yeah. Better movie.
Way better movie than music.
Still not a good movie, but better movie.
It was way better. All while this is happening, Zoo is trying to get her shit straightened out because she's got a month of free rent.
Oh, wait, but should we talk about what happens to Felix at the end?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, let's. Yeah. Because
I want to mention. I want to mention too, in that boxing fight, he stops and hugs the other boxer. It's the weirdest like editing because it's like he stops, he hugs him. It cuts to Ebo and he says, "He's a good boy," and then
yeah, I thought he just hugged him like the match didn't even start. He just like they rang the bell or the mason jar, and then he reached out and hugs the guy.
And then you cut back to. I don't know if it's right after this or if it's a little later, but Felix is at home. His dad is freaking out. I'm glad you mentioned that he notices that music loves dogs because when I didn't catch that. So when they opened that scene with him applying to adopt a dog, I thought that was the movie just being like, oh, we don't know if they like Felix. We better give him the sweetest thing to do ever right before we fucking murder him.
Yep.
The dad kills him.
He's beating up Felix's mom and like choking her, and Felix, it's actually at that point where I was like, fucking do it, Felix, do it. Like, I want him to unleash all of the boxing that he learned from Ebo. I want to see this happen. I want to see him just destroy his dad. And nope, he goes to try to step in. The dad brushes him off like a fly. He slips, falls, hits his head on the table, and dies.
And then, of course, appears in a music video.
Well, that was, yeah, but it was, I got what they were going for with this. It's like everybody was in that that music video. They are taken out at the end, and they're all people who've died in the movie.
Mm-hmm.
Because Felix is there, and Grandma's there, and they're just like, and they ride off into the sunset with some guy, pulling them on a rickshaw.
Yeah.
while Kate Hudson sings.
Which I'm going to argue right now, I would have liked to hear all of the characters sing rather than just Sia every goddamn time. Kate Hudson had a pretty good voice. I'm sure the other actors did too. Like, just let them sing. I don't need to hear Sia for 107 minutes or however long this ungodly thing is.
Like an hour and 47 minutes or something.
Yeah, no, yeah, it was. It's right in that spot between 90 minutes and 2 hours. Like, good lord. But yeah, so he dies. Sorry, yes. So back to Kate Hudson. What were you saying about her?
Well, she's trying to get her figure herself out because when you first meet her, she's still hustling.
Yeah.
Like she's still dealing drugs to the most forgiving and nicest drug dealer I've ever seen in my life.
The drug dealer with like 3 hearts of gold.
Right?
Played by Ben Schwartz with cornrows. Like,
yes.
What? This is another thing where I'm like, I know we talked about it with Stuart Saves His Family. This character played by Ben Schwartz is from another movie. This is a goofy, a little bit a little bit grounded, but really a goofy Ben Schwartz character in this movie, and it just like it doesn't fit. It's weird.
You expect this character to be in a Danny McBride movie.
In what? Sorry.
In a Danny McBride movie.
Yes. I thought you said Danica Bride, and I'm like, I'll just pretend I know who that is.
Danny McBride. Yeah. Like I could see this guy being in Pineapple Express too.
Honestly, this character from Ben Schwartz, like you just turn him up like a half notch, and he's his character. He's his character he plays in Renfield. Like that's how ridiculous this is.
And he's like, he's her supplier. Like she sells drugs. She doesn't do them, she sells them.
Right. Well, she does them later.
But she still owes him money. and she comes back and he's like, it's a little light, or this feels a little light. She goes, it is a little light. And he's like, oh, come on. It's not supposed to be light. And I'm like, why are you not shooting her?
Well, he even alludes to it. He says, oh, I gotta like do bad things, and I don't want to do bad things to you. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Who is this character?
Empty threats, because he never ever does, even though she later on gets fronted like, I don't know, $100,000 worth of drugs and then loses them.
It's so weird. Like, I feel like Sia, you know what? Here's what I wonder. I wonder if maybe she just showed them their pages, because again, Ben Schwartz is another actor who's never in scenes with music, but
Sure.
Maybe she just showed them their pages, or maybe she said, hey, if you do the movie, you don't have a fucking script. Just say whatever you want. Like, I don't care. Just riff. Because at one time, Ben Schwartz shows up wearing this most ridiculous, like, it's like this Japanese robe. And
the outfit.
Yeah, he does this whole bit where he's like, I guess you were just not going to say anything about my robe or anything. Oh, you like it? Oh, really? You don't think it's too much? Oh, it feels like a bit that he just came up with on the fly.
Yeah.
Like, he put the costume on and he was like, oh, can I do a tight 5 about this robe?
And I don't know the kind of drug dealers Sia has come into and not to self-report too much, but I mean, a broken leg at least is what she should have got, at least in this movie.
Can you imagine if there's a scene later where one of Ben Schwartz's cronies just comes in, music is like panicking, and they just fucking take a ball bat to Kate Hudson's leg? Jesus Christ.
He said he didn't want to do bad things to you. Now you're making him do bad things to you, which makes us do these bad things to you.
I didn't want to do it to you. Now look at me. I'm doing. This movie needed Ray Sharkey as the villain. That's what it
And
was.
then they break her leg, and then when she's crying, what do you think of the outfit? Is it too much? I got it off of Amazon. You don't think it's? I feel like I'm culturally appropriating some stuff here.
See, that's what happened. That's what the script originally was. Somebody put it in the washing machine by mistake, and it just got it all mixed up.
All mixed up. Yeah. Oh.
Yeah, like, I can't. I know we're making a solid attempt here, but I can't overstate how it, of course, problematic, but how bizarre this movie is. Like, how many weird fucking left field choices there are. Also, I just want to mention, we didn't talk about the Juliette Lewis scene, but do you know who's playing her off-screen mother who we never see?
Peggy Hill.
Yeah.
Kathy Nimjay.
Yeah, Kathy and Jimmy. She's just...
Jimmy. Rather.
Like, put her on camera, goddammit. Because she's one of the people that Zoo gives drugs to, and she's all like, give me 2 of everything. Because that's what you say when you want drugs.
Yeah, give me 2 of everything. Oh, and explain to me what they do.
Right, because the audience that is definitely not watching us right now needs to know.
Yeah.
That's a totally normal thing for me to say.
And it was through her job as a drug dealer / courier where she comes to find out that Ibo has HIV because, again, Ben with his big heart of gold and terrible Asian outfit, one of the things he does is, I don't know, he either gives HIV drugs away or he sells them at cost, so he makes no money off of them. And it's like, it's his idea that that's what's gonna give him some, I don't know, some karmic leveling, like a balancing out, because he sells terrible drugs to terrible people, but he gives, drugs that are needed to people who can't afford them.
Yeah, I think the line he says at one point, he's like, "This is the one thing I do that helps me sleep at night," or something like that.
Or keep me out of hell. I don't know.
Yeah, it keeps me out of hell. Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
and
I thought that was
she's on a run. She goes to one of the clinics and Ebo's there. Like,
right? Okay,
we're treated to it earlier because he's on the phone talking about getting into a clinical trial and trying to stay alive and stuff like that.
And we have a pretty good idea at that point. There's something that's killing him. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we don't know exactly what it is, I guess. But I mean, it's pretty. I mean, what else can it be if there's, I feel like it's pretty obvious what they're going for here. I also thought the way they revealed that with her going to the clinic and seeing him was kind of kind of haphazard the way they did that. And the first time I watched this, I was confused because I said, wait a second, why did Kate Hudson just tell him he had AIDS? Like, did I miss something? And like, I know she had the medication earlier, but I must have missed the scene where she delivered it to him because. But
yes, Dr. Kazoo, which you know what? I'll say I would have more respect for Dr. Zoo than Dr. Oz.
Well, yes. Easily any day of the week, twice on Sundays.
Right.
I would elect Dr. Kazoo senator before Dr. Oz.
We also find out during this whole thing that Ebo's brother is marrying Ebo's ex-wife. And he's been invited to the wedding, and he's, fine with it. Zoo doesn't know that he has HIV at that point, and I'm guessing the reason why he's fine with it and he's going to the wedding and is gonna, be there because he knows that he's sick and may not be there, and he wants them to know that he doesn't hold any grudges against them if he passes away.
Right.
Of course, she doesn't. She's like, "Oh no, don't go, or go there and fuck some shit up." And he's like, "No, I need to be a better person." There should have been someone like Ebo in Sia's life to tell her that you need to be a better person and not make this movie.
Yeah, and also and someone after she made the movie to be like, hey, you should probably ease up on the defensive behavior on Twitter when people are calling you out for this.
Just take the critical lumps and deal with it.
The best thing to do would have been to say nothing.
Yep, just take the high road. Maybe it's not for everybody, and I'm sorry if I offended anyone.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, you're still gonna come off like you should not have made this movie, but at the very least, you're not like pushing back on it, telling people they must have been bad actors because they didn't get the oh my god.
So, Zoo and music, they're kind of all while this is going on, they're kind of settling into a decent enough routine. Zoo knows how to braid her hair now and stuff, and makes the eggs just right, and they go for their walks in the park. And one walk in the park is that Zoo has to take music on because George, Hector Alonso, I've been drinking. The landlord has been looking after music. He's like, no, you're late. You're supposed to take her. I gotta look after this building. And she's like, just another minute. Come on, give me a minute. He's like, nah, nothing doing. You gotta take her now.
I don't want to be in this movie anymore. Don't count me in.
This makes me wish I was making Necessary Roughness too.
Oh, man. Sia's like, God damn, that's a roast.
Scorch. So, so Zoo has to take music with her, and she takes her to the she takes her to the park, and she gets stung.
Oh, okay. So wait, is this not the scene where she has to calm her down? No, this is a different scene. Okay, never mind.
No,
sorry.
she tries to calm her down,
right.
But she's been stung.
Yeah.
Right, and she thinks she's just having a meltdown, but she got stung, and she's allergic to bees.
Mm-hmm.
And so she has to take her to the hospital, and lo and behold, while they're trying to figure out what's up with her insurance, she lost her bag.
Right, and she loses
had
all
the drugs
in it. I just want to point out the other scene in the park that gave me my one genuine emotional reaction, and it was laughter.
Yeah.
Is when she first has her attack, and Ebo she says, tells Ebo, like, "Go do your thing," and he's like, no, I'm not gonna jump on top of a small white lady in a public park.
In the middle of the park, yeah.
I was like, that's the first point in this movie.
That's the only realistic thing in this movie, this entire movie. She did have to take Zoo with Zoo had to take music with her on another run before the Beast thing. She took her to meet Sia.
Sia's in the movie as Sia.
Uncredited. She's credited as Pop Star Without Borders.
She's in the credits?
I believe so.
Oh my god.
but not as Sia.
They
it's
say
like
that she's
her the character she plays is Pop Star Without Borders and they even say that's a Sia wig. Is Sia here?
Oh Lord.
And they're like, no, she's not here. And then this Australian voice beckons Zoo over to tell her this fantastic idea of what she's gonna do.
She's not playing Sia. Because I swear she said she's Sia.
They don't say her name. They say there's a Sia wig there.
Oh, Jesus.
She asks, is Sia here, to the lady who she first meets. And she's like, no, she's not. That's just a wig. You're crazy. And then an Australian pop chanteuse calls her over and explains the idea of what they're doing, what she plans on doing with all the drugs that she wants to buy. And it's Pop Stars Without Borders, where they're just going to go around and give drugs to people.
They're going to go to Haiti because they only have Tylenol. And they're going to throw drugs to the earthquake victims in Haiti. Now, in any other movie...
It's like Donald Trump tossing fucking rolls of paper towel to the people of Puerto Rico.
I mean, only slightly better because these drugs will actually help. But I do want to say, though, in any other movie... I would see a scene like this and be like, oh, it's being satirical and it's taking the piss out of celebrities and when they try to help and be charitable and everything. But in this movie, I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure if Sia is genuinely like, I'm going to put myself in this movie as like a fucking hero. Like, I'm going to put myself in this movie as a genius. And I was surprised she didn't show up in the movie and just like look at music and just like touch her face and then like, I'm just going to say it. Yeah, exactly. I was waiting by the way, for the moment, like, oh my God, can you imagine if at the end of this movie, she quote unquote healed her? Like
she sees Sia or hears Sia and then all of a sudden she's not nonverbal anymore.
God.
That would have been the most insulting fucking thing ever.
Well, that's why I was like, no, I was surprised it didn't happen. Yeah. Everything else in this movie is fucking insulting. But yeah, the Sia cameo is ludicrous.
Yeah.
Not Chris Bridges. It would have been great if Chris Bridges was playing Sia.
Yeah, ludicrous with wearing the Sia wig.
I would take everything back. No notes.
Perfect
movie. Sensitive portrayal.
So, anyways, let's flash forward.
Tyrese plays music. Okay, no.
So just all like the entire cast of Fast and the Furious replace everybody else in this movie.
Yeah, let's get
Vin Diesel plays Ebo.
Oh, that's rough casting.
I mean, Charlize Theron plays Zoo.
Yeah. Let's get
some ridiculous reason.
Let's get Michelle Rodriguez as George.
I was gonna say.
Yeah.
Anyhow.
Anyway,
dream castings aside.
Yeah, let's just do a full dream casting of the movie music.
Music gets stung. Zoo finds out she lost all of her drugs. Exactly.
Yeah.
And this sends her on an absolute shame spiral. She finds every bit of liquor that she can find and drinks it. Goes out to a bar, gets into a fight, I guess.
Also, Mariah brought this up because she was unfortunately for her, she saw a lot of this movie with me, and she said, "I thought she was broke. How is she going to the bar and buying drinks?"
Oh yeah, no, yep, that's a valid point.
I said I think
unless she went in there and was like, here's a stolen credit card. Open a tab for me.
Or, hey, I'm Kate Hudson. Who wants to buy me drinks? That might have worked, but I think that my only answer is like the movie maybe is saying she's broke. Like when you say you're broke, you still have money, but you're broke. You won't be able to pay your bills.
I don't have any. I don't have money. I don't have money to pay bills, but I got $50 to go drink at the bar.
Right, but it was weird that she literally said, "I'm broke. I have no money," and then just slamming down drinks. She lost. Well, that's the thing. She lost her bag that had everything in it. So
yeah.
Anyway, yeah. She gets a couple fights. She comes back to the apartment. She's like hanging off of Ebo and saying like, "I don't care if you have AIDS. I don't care. I don't even care."
and she wants to have sex with him, and she doesn't care that he has AIDS. And he's like, you need to go home and lay down. Where is music? She's fine. She can look after herself. And the second right thing that Ebo said in this movie, no, she can't. You need to be home.
Yeah.
And then of course all this, fracas alerts Henry Rollins, who's just trying to do his laundry.
What a weird cameo. And because I thought, like, okay, this is directed by a singer, but surely Sia and Henry Rollins, there's not a whole lot of crossover there.
So, but I was reading the plot summary in Wikipedia as I'm watching the movie, just kind of keeping an eye out for like some of the weirder stuff that I should see, and maybe it's going to be noteworthy. They talk about how she Zoo gets into a fight with Ebo's neighbor, played by Henry Rollins, and I'm like, is she gonna fight Rollins? And it's like a shoving match, and he's like, I'm calling the police.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that's Henry Rollins again, only taking characters that he plays against character because he went to call the cops.
Yeah, it was the performance of a lifetime. But yeah, and then we get this whole wrap up thing is like her going to her finally
also,
getting cleaned up.
Bars, not that fun. The ones that she went to a bar and everybody was laughing and having a great time, not that fun. I'm just gonna let you kids know. If you're aching to get out into the bar scene, maybe you're just about to hit that drinking age, and you're like, man, oh man, it's gonna be just like the movie Music. They're gonna have a great time. It's not like that at all.
Just like if you walked into a bar and said, "This is gonna be just like the movie Music," 99.9% of the people in there would be like, "What is that? What like a song?" I just love the idea that somebody watched this as like a generational thing, and then this is like their growing up movie, and
this is where I jumped over the line from child to adult.
Jesus.
So I really understood the complexities and uncaringness of the world was through the music, the movie Music, not the music of Sia, but the movie Music by Sia.
Right. Yeah, that would be insane, and I would feel
harrowing,
really bad.
Harrowing is what that would be. Yes.
It would be horrible. But yeah, so she cleans up. She gets cleaned up. She almost gives music to this home where they can look after her. Which I know we're supposed to be like feel triumphant that she gets her out of there and changes her mind and decides to take care of her.
Really?
I think that's a bad decision.
It was a terrible decision.
Yeah.
Those people are trained to look after her, and it looked like it was a good clean. It wasn't the one that Jimmy was living in The Wizard.
Certainly
where you
not.
could just walk out the front door and climb into the back of a bread truck.
No. Also, The Wizard, another more sensitive portrayal of someone on the spectrum.
Right.
But yeah, and then she gets her out of there and then goes to the wedding that Ebo's at, and we didn't talk about, because it's like very quickly a dumb, like, emotional beat that doesn't come back till now. But earlier there was a song that their mother used to sing to them, and Kate Hudson was singing music. And then in this scene, he says, you should sing the song. And they fucking have music singing it. And it's supposed to be this big emotional moment, this big finale moment, and I'm just like, you manipulative fucking movie. What an emotionally manipulative
music
thing.
Actually starts singing.
That's what I mean. Like that, it's just such a it's like a movie. Some movies tug at your heartstrings. This one's like tugging on the heartstrings, being like, yeah. You
tug at your heartstrings. This movie pisses into your heart chamber.
Come on, why aren't you crying? It's just, and of course, like the way that they show music start to sing, it's just as offensive as the rest of the performance, unfortunately. And yeah,
they get a dog,
and they get a dog.
They get a 3-legged dog.
Yep, and I know you didn't stick around for anything after the credits, but
I didn't. But like I said, they get a 3-legged dog, and Ebo and Zoo, I guess they're sharing Grandma's place now. Maybe, I'm not sure.
But she has
But the dog was the one that Felix did the whole application stuff for. So that dog, I'm putting this out there. Felix sent that to her before he died.
Oh, wait, so you don't think... Oh, so when Felix applied to adopt the dog, you think he applied for music to adopt it?
Yes.
Which, by the way, don't do that, guys.
Do not do that to anybody. And do not never buy an animal for anybody.
Unless someone is specifically
unless they're your child.
Yeah, or someone is specifically like an adult and they're like, oh man, I really want a dog. This kind of dog. A young dog around this age. And you see exactly that. Sure. But don't just randomly adopt a dog for someone who you think likes dogs. Because guess what? I love dogs, but I have 2 of them right now and 3 cats. And if someone was like, hey, I got you a 3rd dog, I'd be like, no, sir.
You know what? Take that back, because if you don't, I will need to be building an ark soon.
Don't bring it into my house because then I'll have to keep it. Yeah, and
so
that's
post-credit,
crazy.
mid-credit scene.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that's crazy. I didn't even think about that. I thought he was just adopting. Like I said, I literally thought in that scene he was adopting a dog because the director was like, "We want you to know he's a good person." So, yes. So we have earlier. Ebo gave music this little kind of kid's toy thing that when you press it, it says like, "I am happy, I am sad, I am scared."
Oh no, that's a legitimate
is it? Okay.
Communicating device. Yeah.
Okay.
There's folks. Because, like I said earlier, folks who are non-verbal, that doesn't mean they can't communicate.
Right.
And a lot of times they'll have a tablet, like not unlike this, where they can communicate because they know what they want to say, but they can't. So if they know, I am happy, yes, no, I am sad, I am scared, they can press these so that the people who are with them can understand, okay, this is what's going on with them. Let's adjust accordingly.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, that's what happens at the very end of the first part of the credits, Nathan, is you just hear the device say, I am happy. And then, but then later on, one thing that I did kind of like is we get more just like footage of Tig Notaro on that fake kids show, just kind of riffing like Tig Notaro. And I don't know. It was kind of funny just because she's just being herself, you know, she's just kind of having fun and being ridiculous. But it's also like, just exemplifies more to me that Sia didn't know what kind of movie she was making. Like, it like this is a Lino-Rama thing you put at the end of like a Seth Rogen movie, not a movie called Music.
What's supposed to be a poignant movie about autism and people who care for people with autism.
Last week's movie knew 10 million times more about mental health than this movie.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just saying. And I hope I got the order right of what aired last week, because it would be hilarious if
he's talking about Stuart Saves His Family. That's what he's talking about here. Stuart Saves His Family is a far more in touch and sensitive portrayal of mental health and addiction struggle than this movie was.
I just picture I messed up when someone's like, Cop and a Half was about mental health. I mean, kind of. Burt Reynolds. Anyway,
you also kind of ran over the fact that they make Zoo the absolute worst so she can be the absolute best. So much so that she stole the lady who runs her Alcoholics Anonymous meeting, stole her 90-day chip
at the beginning of the movie.
So she could impress George. Yeah.
Also, it just makes me.
She was suicidal. I mean,
suicidal.
Suicidal. Yeah, she was suicidal, and they handled it with about as much sensitivity as we just handled that joke. So.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, and I mean, I think overall it's just like music is less of a character than like a human being, treated less like
more of a caricature.
Thank you. Treated less like a human being and more of like this magical character. And I think it has a lot to do with Sia's viewpoint on everything, because I don't know if you've seen any of her music videos. They're a little weird, and she's very open about how wild some of her takes are on the world. But anyway, that's music. 2021. Somehow it came out 2 years ago. Nathan, is this movie worth a watch? A drunk watch with friends. Would you attempt head trauma to forget it or avoid like the plague?
I just avoid this like the plague. It's not Loquisha,
No.
but it's heading in that direction.
Yeah. Nothing.
And it has all the sensitivity of Postal, in my opinion.
Yeah.
So, yes, just avoid it like the plague.
Yeah. I would agree. I will say that the stuff, it's very uncomfortable to watch whenever that character is on screen, especially. There is other stuff that I kind of am like, just watch the weird cameo from Sia and watch like the Ben Schwartz scenes because they're so odd. But you can just watch those isolated scenes. There's no reason for you to watch the entire movie. If you're morbidly curious, go right ahead because it's we didn't even bother talking about it because they're so repetitive, but there's a million we briefly touched on it, but there's a million like mini Sia music videos.
They add nothing.
Yeah, they add absolutely nothing. Just like the subplot with Felix adds nothing and means nothing to the overall movie. So yeah, avoid this like the plague. I think we're on the same page. And on that note, though, we are going to take a brief break, and we will be right back.
What were they thinking?
At Salesforce, we're all about asking more of AI. Questions like, where's the data going? Is it secure? Are you sure? Are you sure you're sure? Get answers you can trust from Salesforce at askmoreofai.com.
And we're back.
Yes, indeed.
It's it's a time on the show when we turn our voices down just a little. We get a little poetical. And Nathan, what is the thing that we do here?
Well, at this point, we like to present our low haikus. Now, for those who are uninitiated, the low haiku is 17 perfect syllables to describe possibly one of the most imperfect movies ever made.
Yes, accurate on all fronts. So Nathan, why don't you start us off with your low haiku?
Okay. Music videos. Pads out this wrong-minded flick. Hearts in the wrong place.
Very good. Lots of music videos. All right, here's my low haiku. Infuriating. Seriously, why do this? Sia, fuck yourself.
Got a little spicy there for NPR at the end.
Well, I should have told Adam over at the censor board, but I forgot.
It's okay. It's okay. I'm sure it'll be fine.
Well, on that note, we're going to hold on. I'm going to try this. There's a new button I got here on the board. I'm just going to give it a go. Wow!
Hey! It's Gator the Q! Just like the old days!
What's the weather like up there?
Oh, it's hot as fuck!
All right. Oh, I don't know what happened there. Sorry, guys.
It didn't hurt, though. I mean, so that's a good thing.
I felt like a douchebag, but it didn't hurt.
So it hurt emotionally.
Right. Hurt
Okay.
my my image, I guess.
Your wide-reaching, world-renowned image.
Yeah, man.
Okay.
I don't want to be canceled now. Well, okay, we talked about this movie. I mean, you probably should take our word for it, maybe, but we gotta play nice.
All kinds of proof.
Yeah, all kinds of proof, which you're about to, which you're gonna hear about. But to be fair, what do we always say?
Well, we always say,
Don't take a word for us.
That's right. That's what we say, and we say don't take our word for it. But Nathan, what did the critics think of this movie?
Oh, well, the critics, they didn't care much for it either. 7% out of 55 reviews.
7%. Wow. Okay, and there's probably some Sia fans out there though that might have overwhelmed some of the distaste for this movie. So did they come out in droves?
Well, if they did, they tried their hardest, but they couldn't compete. 14% out of 1,000 plus ratings.
It makes me upset that 140 people thought this was good.
Right. I mean, but if you liked this, you might like Memoir of War.
Okay.
Dirt music.
That just sounds like somebody who didn't like this movie and they're like, more like dirt music.
The Courageous Heart of Irina Sendler. I've never heard of it, but it's got a 72% audience rating.
And it's got Anna Paquin.
There you go. Mohenjo-Daro. I'm guessing that's a Bollywood joint.
I think so.
And Chocolat. But I don't think it's the Nick Cage one.
Yeah, it's got two titles, right?
Apparently it's got All Out.
Oh,
they're
recommending the AEW pay-per-view?
Yeah, All Out. But apparently that one's really good. It's like 100% with the critics and like still 68 with the audience.
Wow.
So
okay.
Yeah, even Memoir of War apparently, 67 with the critics and almost fresh with the. But anyhow,
looks like All Out is a French film.
Okay, that's why it would have been Chocolat.
Chocolat.
Yeah.
It just reminds me of that Jimmy Fallon joke on SNL when that Johnny Depp movie Chocolat came out, when he said, "My review of Chocolat is as follows: Chocolat was so shaka long and shaka boring, I want my shaka money back."
I do remember that, yes. I don't know why I thought that was a Nick Cage movie. Anyway.
Oh, you're thinking of Captain Corelli's Mandolin, maybe.
Maybe.
An equally slow, weird Nick Cage drama romance thing. Anyway, music. Let's take a look at what these critics are saying, because not many of them seem to have liked this. I'm just a little sad that we won't get Ken Hankey's take on it.
Right?
But this
from the grave, he wrote,
I came back for this. But Kate Mossman, who I think that's Kate Moss's critics alter ego now.
Her pen name,
yeah. She says from the New Statesman, that is the tragedy of music, really, that no one stepped into Sia's bubble in all the 5 years it was being made. I just want to underline that. 5 years.
Let's see here. Richard Lawson of Vanity Fair wrote, "It often feels like a movie made decades ago. One of those smarmily well-intentioned Hollywood exercises in issue peddling that demands the gratitude of an entire community of people."
Oh, boy. I'm going to read one of the positive ones. This is from Jean-Marie Tan from the New Paper in Singapore. Hudson goes to some emotionally raw and dark places and really puts it out there in the song and dance department too. 3 out of 5.
Okay, well, actually, I will follow suit. This is from Simon Foster from Screenspace, and he wrote, "Yes, we want ASD actors cast in parts drawn from their life experiences, but we cannot deny that music considers those experiences with heart, integrity, and artistry, regardless." 4 out of 5.
Wow. I'm certainly Armand White is on here somewhere. This one is not positive. This one comes from Richard Roper of the Chicago Sun-Times. It says, "The worst moment in the jaw-dropping train wreck that is music is the pink-coated fantasy musical number that plays like Cirque du Soleil doing a commercial for Pepto-Bismol." 1.5 out of 4.
Visually, he's pretty on point.
1.5 is very generous.
Yeah. Matt Conway from Battle Royale with Cheese, love that title, writes, "I feel like we've grown past these types of vapid white knighting efforts, but music sadly transports us back to that dated era with troubling results." And there's no rating it, but it's rotten.
Okay. All right, I'll finish with just a brief word here from Charles Bramesco of Little White Lies, who said, which this I believe is a truth bomb though. He simply says, "Today, music is not the food of love." 1 out of 5.
Well, my last one is from Douglas Lamon from The Spool. And Douglas wrote, "When I look at music, I don't see myself or any other autistic person I know. I see a plot device. I see a way to generate drama. I see the degrading way neurotypical people look at autistic people."
All right. Well, there you go. Those are the critics, and now we're gonna dive into these audience reviews, folks. I'm really curious about the positive reviews for this movie, so I'm gonna start off with this one from Andy S, who gives it 5 stars.
Andy Serkis?
Yep.
Andy Serkis liked this movie?
Andy Serkis loved this movie. He wanted to do the whole thing in mocap, but they said that would be a little much. 5 stars. Loved the movie. All of it was great. I know there were loads of people trying to say this and that, but people just didn't get it. It's about how music helped a broken family. I've worked with children with special needs and have close friends with their own children with special needs, and each child is different. So why couldn't this be an example of one child's behavior and experience? Really beautiful movie. I don't think that's the issue. I think it's the... Anyway. I won't even dive into that. You guys just take that as it is.
My first one is not a positive one, and it comes from Hugh J, and I can only assume that's Hugh Jackman.
Oh.
And Wolverine writes, "If I could give this lower than 1 star, I would. It doesn't even deserve half a star. As an autistic person, I cried at the restraining scenes. That is not how you deal with someone having a breakdown. If you want more information, Cynical Reviews made a video on it. Bad. Awful. Half a star. Half of the stars."
Very, very generous. Okay.
Well, he wanted to give it less.
Yeah.
So.
It's just still generous. It's nice. Nice to see nice people these days. Okay. This one comes from Neil Breen, who gives it 5 stars. "People really don't know what he's saying." I think they mean she for Sia, but that's okay. "Sia put all the love into this movie, never wanted to insult or laugh at anyone. It is a beautiful story that leaves teachings of life. Many actors have played the role of autism and have not criticized them. Be honest and look at history. Yes, you are unique. We love you. I love you. Keep going." Okay.
Right. My next one comes from Jeremy R, and I can only assume that's Jeremy Renner.
Oh, okay.
And,
So he's doing better. That's good. He's putting reviews online.
Yeah, I don't know. Just couch your expectations. I loved this movie.
Oh, no.
I watched it after I heard the drama. I still wanted to know for myself. I have a son with ASD. The second I saw Maddie on screen as music, I was overwhelmed. I was reminded of so many of the kids I've met on my son's journey through education. A beautiful person, tastefully portrayed. I don't understand the hate for this film. I loved it and got a lot from it. 3.5 out of stars.
Okay. Wow.
I think he was probably looped out on painkillers after the accident.
After the snowmobile, yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Well, this is my final one, and again, it's from Neil Breen, and again, it's a 5-star review. It was an amazing movie that explored many more topics other than just autism. To slam this touching story because the actor who played the main character was neurotypical is absurd, and may cause many to pass on an imperfect but very meaningful film. Someone tell the close-minded critics that people who play superheroes aren't actually superheroes. Leslie Odom Jr. was amazing, as was Kate Hudson and Maddie Ziegler. I am glad they made this film and glad I got to see it. That superheroes comment, that infuriates me. That's not... Because Superheroes, God, news for this Neil Breen fella. Superheroes are not real. And not a marginalized group, and not a people that often get misrepresented in movies. So yeah, that's not a good comparison, guy.
No, not in the least.
Yikes.
All right. Well, my last one comes from Alec B. I can only assume that's Alec Baldwin.
Oh, okay.
And and he writes,
Getting ready for his trial.
though ultimately problematic in its depiction of autism, particularly with Ziegler in the role of an autistic person and scenes of forced restraint, music isn't entirely bad. It's obvious that many mistakes were made in telling the story of a person on the autism spectrum. However, it's clear that Sia attempted to make something beautiful, only for it to be received entirely negatively. The complex, colorful dance scenes and music depicting the titular character's inner thoughts were clever and entirely on brand for a Sia music video. The storytelling, character development, and portrayal of an autistic character by someone neurotypical are the largest problems. 2.5 out of stars.
Interesting that he says everything's on brand with a Sia music video. Your movie should not be just on brand with the level of something like a music video.
Yeah.
That's a pretty short goalpost to go for.
She was like, look, I got all these music videos, and I need to get them in there, so let's just put a movie around them.
Shrimp on the bobby.
Right?
Well, there you go. That's what the people are saying. We've had our say. We can take this movie and just throw it in the ocean and never talk about it again. Which most
I'm not polluting like that. No.
Well,
I think it's gonna be buried with the elephant's foot in Chernobyl.
Well, what I'm saying, we're getting rid of it, is what I'm saying, and
Right.
we're gonna forget about it, like most of America, because the movie, I just neglected to mention, but I'll mention now, cost $16 million and made $646,000. So, yikes-a-rooney, this Golden Globe nominated disaster of a movie bombed. If it makes anyone feel any better, and I know it makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
But now let's talk about good stuff, or stuff that we enjoyed a lot more. It's time for the dance craze sensation that's sweeping the nation. It's everybody's doing the what you watching, bud.
What you watching, bud? I don't know what you're watching, bud. I'll tell you so. Do 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 do.
So Nathan, I'll ask you first. Besides music, what you watching, bud?
Well, this past weekend, as of the recording, was my anniversary, and Patty and I actually managed to get out to the theater to see the latest Fast and Furious movie, Fast X, which, not spoiling anything, but given the way it ended, should have been titled Fast X Part 1. It's one of the only times in the franchise where they have left a ton of stuff open without any resolution whatsoever before the credits roll. And I did not care much for that, but the movie itself had a lot of interesting action set pieces, some cool stunt driving, all the stuff you're looking for in a Fast and Furious movie, and the word family uttered at least 120,000 times.
I heard legitimately that this it was said the most times in this movie out of all the other movies.
I wouldn't doubt it if you count, Familia.
But the most important question is, how is Jason Momoa?
Okay, fantastic.
Okay,
actually,
good.
One of the best parts of the movie. I'm not spoiling anything,
Right.
but I will say it was interesting to see Aquaman play the Joker.
Okay. Okay.
So,
And I'm assuming seeing Aquaman fight Peacemaker.
yes.
All right, well,
yes.
we'll leave it at that.
They do. Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go. Fast X. As it happens many times on this show, our recommendations are pretty much at either opposite ends of the earth. Mine is going to be the movie. I just saw the movie Limelight. It's a Charlie Chaplin movie. Not a silent picture. It's one of his talkies. and it's about an aging vaudeville performer played by Chaplin who basically helps nurse back to health this dancer who thinks she can't walk anymore, thinks she's broken her legs. I don't know what that condition is called, where you get in your own head and you think you're actually injured but you're not, but it's like psychological.
It's psychosomatic?
Yeah, that's the thing. She's a psychosomatic illness, and he's basically trying to help her get back, at the same time holding on to his his career that's taken a major downfall. But it's a great mix of like pathos and drama, and we get to see Chaplin doing a lot of the stuff that, makes him such a talented comedian and silent movie star. And this movie also features the only time on screen of Charlie Chaplin and Buster Keaton in the same scene. So that's pretty cool.
That's pretty neat.
Yeah, so it's Limelight. I believe you can watch it on the Criterion channel. Check it out. Now, with all that being said, we're done again. We're gonna move on. Montrose Monkington. I'm sorry he had to be in the background while we talked about this atrocious movie, but I'm sure he would like to promote his stuff.
Well, let's see. Let's find out.
Okay.
Hello, it's your good friend Montrose Monkington III here, and before I dispense with my usual shillery, I simply must ask, this is what you do with your time. This is, you have, expendable income, and these are the movies you decide to watch. You only have so much time on this earth, and this is how you spend the time that was granted to you.
And I watched it twice, Montrose.
You're never getting that time back.
Never, ever.
Ever.
Nope.
That you should really think on that.
But
while you think on that,
I was just gonna say, Montrose, maybe there's probably been some bad wrestling though that you've seen that you'd wish your time back for.
You know what? But that's the thing. Like, they would have been involved in a situation where other good wrestling may have happened. Like, sure, I'm going to watch, if I watch an old Raw or even an old WWE pay-per-view, I might encounter a Eugene match, but it's not the only match on the show.
Sure.
There's probably some really good stuff happening on that show, but also a Eugene match.
Eugene, a more sensitive portrayal of someone on the spectrum.
Oh, most definitely.
Yes.
Well, Down syndrome. I don't know if that's an ASD.
Sorry, I should just what I'm trying to say.
Right. I get with the developmental delays.
Thank you, Montrose. Please continue.
Fine. Check out my YouTube channel, Montrose Monkington TV. Yeah, I don't think I've ever talked about a Eugene match on there, so I've got that going for me. You can also be friends with me on the Facebook group, Montrose Monkington III Esquire and Friends. And finally, if you wish to tweet at me, unless you're Nick Dinsmore, you can do so at Montrose III. That's the number 3 RD. Thank you. More later. Yeah.
Thank you, Montrose.
You're welcome.
If you want to find us on the World Wide Web, you want to go to our podcast home base, you can find us at Age of Radio.
Big time.
Just go to ageofradio.org/whatwerethéthinking. We're also on any podcast app as well. You can just search for us there. We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at WWTT Podcast. And you can also find us on Redbubble, TeePublic, and patreon.com/WWTT podcast. There will be another bonus episode coming soon about Valerian. You'll want to check that out. But other than that, I guess I just got to ask you if you could possibly have any questions about this misbegotten nightmare production music.
Okay, so in a movie that is so lacking in research of the main character trait of the main, supposed to be the main character, the one the movie's named after.
Mm-hmm.
And in a movie where all of the cameos are filmed separate from that main character, I'm guessing to trick them into being in this movie.
Right.
And with a movie that is actually has people with dignity and careers to protect and also legacies to protect, if you're talking about Hector in this situation.
Mm-hmm.
For those specific people being in this movie and agreeing to sign on to be in this movie after having read the script, I gotta know.
Yeah.
What were they thinking?
Look inside your tiny mind, then look a bit harder. 'Cause we're so uninspired, so sick and tired of all the hatred you harbor. So you say it's not okay to be gay, well I think you're just evil. You're just some racist who can't tie my laces. Your point of view is medieval. That's not how you